Hello and welcome to HITC Sport. Right, this one is a challenge. Here I'm going to go through every current Premier League manager and try to find the best player they've ever played with. At club level, by the way, not internationals, that would be cheating, and I am not Ryan Giggs. Lads, I'm not going to lie, this is going to be a wildly inconsistent list. While all 20 are good managers, more or less, as players, oh god, their skills wildly contrasted. Some played at the highest level, winning every honour known to man. Others amounted to 3 years of cleaning boots at prestige clubs like Ballymena United. Christ. Right, let's get into it. Mikel Arteta, Ronaldinho. Mikel Arteta's played with some great players. Robin van Persie, Alexis Sanchez, even Mauricio Pochettino. But no, I can't look past Ronaldinho. I would be mental to do so. They only had one season together, linking up in PSG's midfield during the 01-02 campaign. This was back when PSG were financially modest, instead of nowadays where they're willing to chuck 10 million quid at anything with a pair of legs. But yeah, Arteta was in France on loan from Barcelona at the time and probably had the ear burnt off him by Ronaldinho asking him everything about Camp Nou. As we all know, Ronaldinho quickly went on to win World Cups, Ballon d'Ors, and Champions Leagues, while Arteta got a move to Everton with David Moyes. How jealous must he be? Dean Smith, Alan Quinn. Imagine going through nearly 20 years of football and yet when your grandkids ask you who the best player you ever played with was, the answer is Alan Quinn, a lad with 8 caps for Ireland. How big a letdown is that? Lads, don't blame me, alright? Blame Dean Smith for not being good enough to amass a playing career higher than 5 years at Walsall, 3 at Hereford, 5 at Leyton Orient, 1 at Sheffield Wednesday and 13 games at Port Vale. So the former centre half linked up with Quinn at Hillsborough in 03, back when Quinn was pulling the strings in midfield, before quickly tossing any goodwill he had left at the club with a 2004 switch to Sheffield United. Eddie Howe, Paul Merson. Was Eddie Howe much of a footballer? No was the answer. No, he definitely wasn't. The biggest club he ever signed for was Portsmouth, and even then, he only played a couple of games at right back. Best player? I'll go for Paul Merson. Yeah, by 2002 he was a bit over the hill, just winding down the clock, but hey, the former Arsenal forward still managed 12 goals from midfield as Pompey went up. I'll go with him. Graham Potter, Matt Le Tissier. No, Graham Potter didn't have a great playing career, but he was a bang average left back, best remembered for over 100 games at York City. But he did play 8 games for Southampton during the 96-97 season, which means he would have shared a dressing room with the criminally underrated Matt Le Tissier. Sean Dyche, Tim Cahill. Yeah, you'd forget that Sean Dyche actually used to be a footballer himself, wouldn't you? But no, there was a time when he could run 5k without dissolving into a pile of sweat. I almost went with Ashley Young, linking up with Dyche at Watford about 3 decades ago, back when he had a little bit of pace about him and hadn't resigned himself to 3 years of swallowing pig poo. But no, Dyche, a no-nonsense centre half, spent 3 years in Millwall's defence. Of course he did, which means that he lined out alongside a future Australian legend. Tim Cahill, who could have played for Ireland, was a 23-year-old attacking midfielder at Millwall, banging in over 50 goals across 6 seasons. Yeah, I'm going with him. Arguably the most dangerous footballer in the world from a corner kick. Seriously. Frank Lampard, David Silva. Yeah, I bet you thought I was going to chuck in a Chelsea player, didn't you? Listen, let's be honest. For most of Frank Lampard's 13 years at the club, he was the best player in that Chelsea team. So no John Terry, no Eden Hazard, not even Gianfranco Zola, alright? Let's go for that curveball year at Man City where he linked up with David Silva in midfield. Listen, back then, Silva was 28, in his peak, racking up assists every week during Lampard's time at the club. That was pretty much peak David Silva. Arguably the greatest playmaker in Premier League history. There, I said it. Roy Hodgson, nobody. Look at Roy Hodgson's career. Thank Christ he became a manager, because Christ above, I don't think 10 years of slumming in the 9th tier of English football sets you up for life. It's a good thing he knew a thing or two about tactics, or Hodgson would have spent 40 years working down the post office. At least then he wouldn't have had a chance to put Harry Kane in corner kicks. Then again, I'm probably being harsh. He probably could have found work as Hedwig's lookalike at some Harry Potter theme park. I'm holding up my hands, alright? I cannot find anyone from Gravesend or North Fleet in 1969, Maidstone United in the early 70s, Bury Park or Castleton Athletic. So listen lads, I'm going to give you this challenge. Find me, who was the best player Hodgson ever played with? If you come up with a genuine and acceptable answer, I will shout you out in the next video. Carlo Ancelotti, Paolo Maldini. Let's see here. Alright, well, it has to be someone in Carlo Ancelotti's 5 years at the San Siro, doesn't it? In the heart of AC Milan's midfield in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, Bruno Conti and the original Falcao stick out from his 9 years at Roma, but listen, Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, Christ, Ancelotti played with some world stars at Milan. But you know what? I'm going to go with Paolo Maldini. This is a defender who finished with 902 games for Milan, winning 7 league titles and 5 Champions Leagues. Absolutely incredible. Brendan Rodgers, Nigel Worthington. Yikes. Look at Brendan Rodgers' CV from his playing days. It is absolutely brutal. It only lasted 9 years, beginning as a bang average defender at Ballymena United, then onto the Reading Reserves before slumming it with Newport, Whitney Town and Newbury Town. How in God's name am I supposed to pick a half-decent player out of that rabble? They were probably all bricklayers dragged in out the pub on a Saturday morning to be given a pair of boots. Can I go for Nigel Worthington? I mean, he was Rodgers' cousin, so I assume they had a kick around down the park. Jurgen Klopp, Andreas Muller. Jurgen Klopp said it himself. As a player, he had 4th division talent and a 1st division head, which amounted to the 2nd division with mine's 05. I'm going to go for when he had that trial with Eintracht Frankfurt when he lined out at the age of 19 alongside future World Cup winner Andreas Muller.
I saw Andy Muller, same age as me at the time, 19 years old. I thought, if that's football, I'm playing a completely different game. He was world class. I was not even class.
Pep Guardiola Ronaldo. This is probably the hardest one in the list. Pep Guardiola spent 11 years at Barcelona, linking up with Hristo Stoichkov, Luis Figo. He even chucked in a couple of games at Roma alongside Francesco Totti before he retired. But no, I can't look past Ronaldo. Brazilian Ronaldo, that is. Don't worry, I haven't had a fall. He only spent the one season at the new camp, but still. 47 goals in 49 games. That is ridiculous form. At the time, that man was arguably the best footballer on the planet. Ole Gunnar Solksjaer, Cristiano Ronaldo. This is a tough one. Who do I choose? Eric Cantona, Roy Keane, Ruud van Nistelrooy, all decent shouts, but I just know that if I don't choose Cristiano Ronaldo, most of you will probably try to burn my tin shack to the ground. No, Ronaldo hadn't yet hit his peak, but still, in the couple of seasons these two shared at Old Trafford, he was still pretty damn good. In Solskjaer's last season, where he actually made it on the pitch over 20 times without the aid of his Zimmer frame, Ronaldo was battering home 23 goals and winning the league, so yeah, I'm going with him. Steve Bruce, Brian Robson. Oh, there were many names I could have chosen for Steve Bruce. I mean, come on, he spent 9 years at Old Trafford. If we're talking players at their peak though, I can't look past Brian Robson. He was the 80s version of Roy Keane, an inspirational midfield force captaining the club to success. For Christ's sake, he made over 460 appearances, was one goal shy of 100. So yeah, how could I not choose him? Daniel Fark, Samir Nasiri. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough to research Daniel Fark's playing days. I mean, look at that. Right, famous former players for SV Lippstadt, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, who was there in the 60s, that's not helpful, and Daniel Fark. Great, that's just great. I'll go for that one season at Bonner SC, where Fark scored 10 goals in 10 games as a striker back in 2005, where he linked up with the midfield greatness that was Samir Nasiri. Not Samir Nasri, Samir Nasiri. What do you mean you've never heard of him? He was great, trust me. Chris Wilder, Brian Deane. You know what, let's hear a bit of respect for good old Brian Deane, scorer of the first ever Premier League goal. He was a bit of a journeyman England international striker who wound up at Benfica in 1998, and yeah, played alongside Chris Wilder, a bang average right back at Sheffield United back in the early 90s. Ralph Hasenhüttl, Valdes Ivanauskas. Why couldn't Southampton still be managed by Mark Hughes? This would make life so much easier. Right, Ralph Hasenhüttl was some bang average journeyman centre forward who amounted to just 8 caps for Austria. So that gives you a sort of feel for how good he was. Let's go for his prolific 5 years at Austria Vienna, where he played up front alongside Valdes Ivanauskas, a man with nearly 30 caps for Lithuania, was top scorer for Austria Vienna, and earned himself a move to Hamburg. No, he wasn't great, but neither was Hasenhüttl's career, alright? Mourinho Sambina. Christ, I really should have done this video a few months ago, back when Mourinho wasn't a Premier League manager. His very presence sort of undermines this whole video, doesn't it? Because sorry lads, Mourinho's playing days lasted just 7 years, finally giving up to slumming in the lower leagues of Portuguese football at the ripe old age of 25 to go and become a translator. I'm gonna go for the 82-83 season with Belenense. Mourinho was a bit like one of those players only stuffed in the team because their dad was the manager, so I guess that means Alex Bruce is going to become a 2-time Champions League winning coach. I'll go for Sambina, a decent centre half in that team. I mean, I'm guessing. Sorry lads, I'm not Alfie from HITC7s, alright? I'm not going to spend 7 hours a day trawling through DVDs of lower league Portuguese football from the 80s, so let's say Sambina was a good player. Let's hope so. Nigel Pearson, Chris Waddle. Yeah, you can imagine what sort of player Nigel Pearson was. A tough as nails centre half who lasted 7 years on the books of Sheffield Wednesday before finishing up with Middlesbrough. I could so easily have chosen Juninho, couldn't I? But no, step forward Chris Waddle. The two linked up for a couple of years at Hillsborough. Yeah, the winger was into his 30s, but he was just 2 years out from ripping up Italia 90 and was still tearing it up for Wednesday, so yeah, I'm gonna go for him. David Moyes, David Beckham. Yep, bet you didn't see this one coming. Two Davids, both contrasting in terms of their reputation in the sport, especially at a club like Manchester United. While most Red Devils fans probably still have posters of Beckham above their bed, they also probably attend weekly therapy sessions to rid themselves of the very memory of David Moyes. Beckham only played 5 games on loan at Preston during the 94-95 season, scored a couple of goals, with one blurry-eyed David Moyes stuck in the fence. Nuno Espirito Santo Deco. With Nuno Espirito Santo, I'm torn. He's played with some damn good players. You don't know how much I want to choose Radamel Falcao from Santo's second stint as a Porto goalie, but no, sorry lads, I'm gonna go for Deco instead. Back in his first spell as Porto backup goalkeeper, Santo was playing under Champions League winning Jose Mourinho with the likes of Ricardo Carvalho in defence and Deco in midfield. Listen, forget for a second that Deco wasn't deemed good enough for Brazil. Forget that he ended up a washed up tub of sweat out the backwards of Fluminense before his 33rd birthday. On his day at Porto, Barcelona and even Chelsea, Deco had the potential to be one of the greatest playmakers in world football. That's exactly what he was at Porto. Anyway, that's the end of it lads, what do you think? Let me know, who was the best player your manager has ever played with? And also, please give me that answer for watching. I was pulling out my own hair. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.